Welcome back to the U.S. Navy History Podcast. I am Dale, and I'm joined by Christoph.
Hello, Dale. So good to be here.
It is good to have you.
Thanks.
So, World War One.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing deeper dives
Oh, yes.
upon dives upon dives.
Yeah. We'll say the middle
So,
dive, maybe. I don't know.
so do you remember what we were about to start
I
talking about?
want to say it was the Eastern Front.
Right, because the Western Front was the biggest. The
Yes.
Eastern Front was physically the longest, but not a lot going on there.
No, that's right.
The Italian Front.
The Italian Front, of course.
We got to get our pizza and spaghetti.
That's right. I think we should really exaggerate with our hands as we speak. And this is not a slight against the wonderful Italian people, but just a celebration of who they are.
Well, my wife's Italian.
Right.
We'll see if you survive.
It's fine. Okay. That sounds good. You
All
should
right, you
do
ready to get underway?
that. Yes, let's do that.
All right. So the Italians, they're part of the Triple Alliance. You remember who else was part of the Triple?
So I want to say it was France and the UK.
No. Austria, Hungary, and Germany.
Oh, the Central Powers? Oh, so I know them as the Central Powers and then the Triple Entente. And so when I hear triple, I go, oh, I know who you're talking about. But I was wrong. So,
You're
yes, Austria-Hungary, Germany, and the Ottomans. Those are one side, and that's who they aligned with at first.
Yes. So they're part of this, but they did not declare war until August of 1914. Their argument was that their alliance was defensive in nature. And because of that, Austria-Hungary was the aggressor. The Italians were like, we are not part of this.
That's a good point.
Further, Italy actually had a long-standing rivalry with Austria-Hungary, dating all the way back to 1815 after the Napoleonic Wars.
So they had a rivalry, but were allied with them?
Yeah. The Congress of Vienna granted several regions on the Italian peninsula to the Austrian Empire. So that is why there was a little bit of a rivalry right there.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Also, a radical nationalist political movement called Unredeemed Italy was founded in the 1880s, and they started claiming the Italian inhabited territories of Austria-Hungary.
This sounds familiar.
By 1910s, the expansionist ideas of this movement were taken up by a very large and significant portion of the Italian political elite. So the annexation of these Austrian territories became the main Italian war goal, assuming a similar function as the issue of the Alsace-Lorraine had for the French.
I could see that.
So during the early stages of the war, Allied diplomats courted Italy,
Of course, yes.
bringing them flowers and chocolates. You know, they wanted to get the Italians on the Allied side. So this resulted in the Treaty of London on April 26th of 1915, where Italy renounced her obligations to the Triple Alliance.
Whoa.
And on May 23rd, Italy declared war on Austria-Hungary.
That's pretty bold. I mean, you're allied with them, and then, hey, we're in a fight. You're allied with us, right? And it's like, well, it's more of a defensive pact. Let's not get animated. And then you go and attack them.
Hmm.
That seems very, I don't know, diplomatically, what's the word I'm looking for?
Traitorous?
Yes! I can't believe, I mean, I guess ultimately each country is mostly looking out for their own interests. Like you
Yeah.
said, France is trying to reacquire some land on the border between Germany and France. I guess Britain is trying to defend Belgium and got roped in that way. But Italy's like, hey, you know what sounds great? That land with all those Italians in it that somebody else is in control of.
And it used to be our land anyway, so we want it back.
Yeah, we know how to manage it. We, the original landlords.
Most of them speak
Yeah,
Italian.
exactly. And thanks to who? Us. That's right.
So Italy opens the war with an offensive aimed at capturing the town of Gorizia on the Isonzo River. They capture the highlands on the Kras Plateau and in the western Julian March. This would enable them to secure a further advance towards Trist, Fiume, Grange. So at the beginning of the offensive, Italian forces outnumbered the Austrians by 3-1,
Wow.
but they failed to penetrate their strong defensive lines along the Julian Alps and the northwestern highlands of the Groska region. And this was mostly due to the Austrian forces being based on higher ground.
I've seen Star Wars. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So, despite a professional officer corps, Italian units were severely undertrained and deficient in morale. As with most of the militaries at this day and age, horses were used for transport. And because of that, the supplies were very slow moving,
I can see
which
that, yeah.
was which was slowed even more because of the terrain.
Right. You don't take a horse up a mountain necessarily.
Yeah, the Alps are not horse friendly.
No. You need some war goats. I've always said that.
Ooh, there we go. Another thing that killed their morale was their newly appointed commander, Luigi Cardona.
Cardona. I don't know anything about him. Sorry, elaborate.
Well, he was very unpopular
Okay.
among his men. Huh?
I forgot to do my hands. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you forgot to do your hands. They also had equipment and munition shortages suffered because of the Turkish war in Libya.
Oh, that's right. Libya was, I think, an Italian colony.
Yeah, it was a Italo-Turkish war.
Oh, okay. Wild.
So it was the Ottoman Empire against Italy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So you used all that stuff in one conflict and then just roll over into the next one because that conflict ended in 1912, and 3 years later they're in World War One.
Yeah. There's a whole Mediterranean between them, so they probably left a lot of that stuff behind.
They might have. So a couple weeks later, the Italians attempted another frontal assault. They increased their artillery usage, but were beaten back again. So a third attack is made. This is coming from October 18th to November 4th. And they used 1,200 heavy, heavy guns. And they still didn't move.
Whoa.
So now they're in a stalemate. And the Austrians are like, we need a counteroffensive. Let's send everybody over the plateau of Altapeno di Asiago.
You gotta move your hands more, man.
I don't want to get slapped by my wife, so I will not.
Okay. Deal.
So their aim is to break through the Po River plain which would cut off the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Italian armies in the northeast of the country. And this began on March 11th of 1916 with 15 divisions.
That's a lot.
And nobody moved.
Really?
Nope. Nobody gained any ground whatsoever.
Those Alps, I tell you.
So later in 1916, 4 more battles were fought along the Isonzo River. One of them was launched by the Italians in August. And this actually was more of a success than anything so far. They didn't get anything of strategic value, but they did manage to take Gorzina, which boosted their spirits.
So wait a minute. Are you saying right now and for the whole world that Gorzina holds no strategic value?
It didn't in 1916.
Okay. I like how you pivoted there. I just want to welcome our listeners from Gorzina. We love you, and we're glad that we can talk about you in a positive light in our podcast.
So by the time the 9th battle of Isonzo was done, nothing much more was accomplished other than wearing down the already exhausted armies of both sides.
Yeah.
The frequency of the defenses in this area between May of 1915 and August of 1917 was about 1 every 3 months.
Whoa.
This was higher than on the Western Front. Italian discipline was very harsh. The punishments for infractions of duty of how severe it was not known in even the German army.
Oh? So, like, they were probably the most strict of all the armies?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. I just always kind of mentally associate that with either the Ottomans or the Germans.
Yeah. When artillery exploded on this very rocky terrain, it caused 70% more casualties per round than on the ground in Belgium and France.
Oh, man, I could absolutely see that. Because, I mean, you're on an incline, right? That's made of rock. And so if any of that shatters or starts tumbling your way, yeah, that you're going to get injured. And plus, you probably, depending where the tree line is, you don't have that cover, you know? Like, there were forests that were getting splintered in
Mm-hmm.
Belgium and France, but in the Alps, probably not. And so you had less to kind of absorb the initial energy. Ugh, that sounds awful.
Well, it's just rocks flying everywhere.
Right.
By the autumn of 1917, the Italian army had suffered most of the deaths it was to incur during the war.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm curious if they're just getting in and getting their bearings. It's a leadership issue, equipment issue. Like there's a lot of things that are coming together to make this a difficult time for the Italians.
And the Germans haven't even come in yet.
So I'm curious what turns this around for the Italians.
On December 13th, 1916, is a day known as White Friday. 10,000 soldiers are killed by avalanches.
Oh no. 10,000.
Yep.
Oh.
So then the Germans arrive.
Oh.
So after the 10th battle of Isonzo,
10th.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
the Italians directed a 2-pronged attack against the Austrian lines, north and east of Gorizia. The Austrians checked the advance east, but the Italian forces under Luigi Capello
Oh, Cabello. Different.
managed to break the Austrian lines and capture the Banjus Plateau. So, the same thing that happens in nearly every other theater of the war, the Italians find themselves on the verge of victory. But they cannot secure it because why?
I'm guessing that trying to do the final push against an entrenched enemy just repeatedly wipes them out. Like, I just keep thinking about those stories about the English going over the top and facing German machine guns.
No, it's something much more mundane.
Oh, really?
The supply lines,
Oh,
they could not keep up.
it's yeah, I can see that.
And so you run
Gosh,
out of ammunition,
you're done.
you're not going to stand there.
Nope.
You got to go back.
Oh man, you know this is an interesting conflict because you have all these pretty much modern weapons, artillery, machine guns, things like that. But you're getting it there by horse and donkey and cart, and only maybe the Germans might be able to do stuff by rail. This is a real deficit for all sides.
Hmm. So the Austrians finally receive some reinforcements after the 11th battle from the German army and their soldiers rushing in after the Russian offensive. The Germans now introduce infiltration tactics to the Austrian front and helped them with a new offensive. On the Italian side, mutinies and plummeting morale crippled their entire army from within. They lived in poor conditions and engaged in attack after attack that had pretty much no or very little military gain.
Ah, that stinks.
So on October 24th, 1917, the Austrians and Germans launched the Battle of Caporetto with a huge artillery barrage, followed by the infantry. They bypassed enemy strong points and attacked the Italians from the rear.
Mm.
At the end of the first day, the Italians had retreated 12 miles to the Tagliamento River.
I Something you said caught my attention when you said the Germans introduced infiltration tactics to the Austro-Hungarians.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's just because it's now so common in military strategy that we've seen, like even in video games or just recounting other battles, but was that not something that armies did?
This is when it was introduced. World War One is when armies started using these infiltration tactics.
That's wild. Because, I mean, I know that this is kind of a really big inflection point in how militaries approach each other. Because at the beginning, we think it's gentlemanly and we're going to stand strong and we're going to face the enemy in a line and fire at them, similar to what they've done during the Napoleonic Wars or the Revolution or whatever. But with the machine gun, they're like, oh, no, that's a terrible idea. Let's do something different. And so you get pivots. And this is one that I was not aware. I guess may have happened, but it was so rare in other conflicts that it wasn't just a common, hey, we're going to sneak past this way and get them from behind. Rather, we're just going to have a strong front and attack that way. I mean, obviously it was effective that the Italians were forced to retreat 12 miles
Mm-hmm.
after, what, you say 11 battles and really making no ground?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
All right, so we're getting to the end of the Italians' war experience in World War One. 1918.
Ooh.
So the Austrians are now advancing very fast and very deep. So they did what everybody else has done.
Overextend their supply line?
They outran their supply
Yeah, I
lines.
got it this
Yes.
time.
So they had to stop and regroup. The Italians, they pushed back to defensive lines near Venice on the Pave River. They have suffered around 600,000 casualties at this point. Because of these losses, the Italian government called to arms the so called 99 boys. Do you know who these boys were?
I'm guessing it's dudes that were 90 and dudes that were 9.
No, all the dudes that were 18 years old.
Oh. So they didn't do that initially?
No,
I guess
I don't know what their drafting requirements were specifically, but I don't think they wanted to go too young.
I I'm always curious why nations pick certain ages for conscription. You know what I mean? And so, like in the United States currently, 18 is kind of the day you can enlist, or the age at which you can enlist. But
Mm-hmm.
why not 16? Or why 18? Why not 20? You know what I mean?
Well, during the beginning of a major war like World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, they wanted more experienced guys.
Right.
They didn't want the 18-year-olds who were still learning, and they didn't want the out of shape old people who would just be thrown into a meat grinder.
Hey. Oh, you're not talking about me. I was just projecting. Continue.
You were definitely projecting, but yes, I was also talking about
Okay,
you.
well, yeah, no, fair. I don't want to lose the war for the good old USA. Continue.
And I don't want to step over your body.
Thank you.
But, as the war rages on, then you're going to have to expand that, be able to fill
Right.
boots,
Makes sense.
which is why during the latter part of the war, the American draft expanded, saying, we're taking you anyway.
Mm.
Or now we're not stopping the age at, 30? We're going to 45. Things of that nature. And why Berlin in World War II was defended by children and the elderly. But that, of course, was a completely different situation as well. But we'll get more into that during World War II.
These are all such interesting conflicts from a societal, scientific, just kind of how people have to adapt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So in November of 1917, the British and the French started to bluster their front line. Far more decisive than to the troops was the Franco-British and U.S. help providing strategic materials, coal, steel,
Oh, yeah.
things of that nature, food, ammunition. And Italy always lacked this material. In the spring of 1918, Germany pulled out its troops for use in their upcoming spring offensive on the Western Front.
I see.
So the Austrians now began debating how they were going to finish Italy. The Austro-Hungarian generals disagreed on how to make the final push. Archduke Joseph August of Austria decided for a two-prong offensive where he hoped it would prove impossible for the two forces to communicate in the mountains. So the Battle of the Pave River began with a diversionary attack near a pass named La Wine,
Okay.
which the Italians easily repulsed after a couple of days. But of course, this was a diversionary attack. It wasn't meant to break through. The Austrian deserters betrayed the objectives of the offensive, which allowed the Italians to move a couple of armies directly in the path of those Austrian pinchers or prongs. The other one, led by General Svexter Borechik von Banja.
Oh, wait, what was that? Can you say that again?
No.
Okay. I was very impressed. I was like, I'm glad I don't have to say that.
He initially experienced success until the aircraft showed up
Oh.
and bombed their supply lines. And the Italians were able to get reinforcements in there as well. So that brings us to the Battle of Vittorio Vento.
Vitorovento. Gotta really move the hands.
And I told you, no, I
Oh,
can't
that's
do that.
right. Leave that to me.
Yes. You're safely a couple hundred miles away from my wife.
Yes. By the time she hears this, she'll be like, oh, I want to slap that man.
Yeah. So the Italians disappointed their allies because they did not do a counteroffensive after the battle. The Italian army was in a very bad shape.
Yeah.
They had suffered huge losses in the battle, and they were like, a counteroffensive is way too dangerous for us to do at this time.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like cooler heads prevailed, actually.
So the Italian general, Armando Diaz, waited for reinforcements to arrive from the Western Front. So by October of 1918, Italy finally had enough guys to mount an offensive. So the attack targeted Vittorio Veneto
Tirovenento. Yeah, I got you.
across that river. The Italian army broke through a gap near Scale and poured in reinforcements that crushed the Austrian defensive line.
Whoa.
On November 3rd, 300,000 Austrian soldiers surrendered.
That is a lot of soldiers. Holy moly.
Mm-hmm. This battle pretty much made the Austro-Hungarian army an ineffective fighting force. It also triggered the disintegration of Austria-Hungary. During the last week of October, declarations were made in Budapest, Prague, and Zagreb, proclaiming independence of their respective parts of the old empire.
Wow. Can you imagine being a soldier that said, yeah, I was in the battle that captured 300,000 Austro-Hungarians, and then that was what led to them disintegrating as an empire?
So on October 29th, the imperial authorities asked Italy for an armistice. The Italians were like, nope.
It's like, remember 4 years ago? It was pretty bad, right?
And they continued to advance, reaching Taranto, Udine, and Trieste. So on November 3rd, Austria-Hungary sent a flag of truce to the Italian commander and asked again for an armistice and terms of peace. The terms were arranged by telegraph with the Allied authorities in Paris, communicated to the Austrian commander, and were accepted. I think at this point he didn't have much choice anyway.
Yeah.
The armistice with Austria was signed in the Villa Gusti near Bua.
Gusti. Badu. Oh, I just love moving my hands. Did I mention that? It's not. It's just thank you.
This was signed on November 3rd and took effect on November 4th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. That's very
Austria and-
precise.
Yeah.
I love how it's like, you know what? If you still want to fight in the morning, we get it. But at 3, hard cutoff. So
No more fight
it's
after
like
3.
Why 3? I don't know. That's just kind of weird.
Well, why the 11th month of the 11th hour?
I think that has some poetic rhythm to it. You know what I mean? So it's like, if it's going to be November 11th, we might as well do 11 local time, right? Yeah, okay, I agree.
Or how about stop killing people immediately when it's signed?
Right. How about now?
Yeah, why do we have to wait a week?
I guess they have to get the message out. And it's like, oh, we actually surrendered. It's like the Battle of New Orleans, right? The war was over, but the British were still fighting the Americans in the Revolutionary War, so... Well, Nolans, for the locals, sorry.
It's still, the war's over for you, and then you're still shot and killed by the enemy.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yes.
So Austria and Hungary signed separate armistice following the overthrow of the Habsburg monarchy and the collapse of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. By the end of hostilities, the Italian military had seized control of the entire portion of Dalmatia that had been guaranteed to Italy by the London Pact.
Oh, that's what got him in the first place.
In Then Admiral Enrico Milo declared himself Italy's governor of Dalmatia.
I don't do enough self-declarations. I should do that and see how that goes.
Not gonna go.
See, you got to start small. And people go, okay, okay. And then you just
Ah,
advance.
yeah.
I'll report in later.
Okay, so that was the European. We're done with Europe.
Okay.
That was the European fronts.
Whew.
So now we got to go to the Middle East.
All right.
So we're gonna start with the Caucasus.
Okay.
So who do you think's part of this?
Well, if we're in the Middle East, it's got to be the Ottomans, right?
Yes, exactly.
Who were they fighting? I guess Russia, because that's where the mountains are.
Russia, UK, Armenia, the Central Saipan dictatorship,
What is?
Baku Commune,
Those are some things I haven't heard before.
Central Caspian dictatorship.
Yep, never heard of that.
Well, it was short-lived.
I imagine. I wonder if it was one of those things like we can finally exist as a country. Oh wait, what? War's breaking out? Oh no.
It was a short-lived anti-Soviet administration proclaimed in the city of Baku
Okay.
during the war. Make sense?
I'm with you now.
The main objective of the Ottoman Empire was the recovery of its territories in the Armenian. These regions were captured by Russians after the Russo-Turkish War in 1877 to 1878. The strategic goals of the Caucasus campaign for the Ottomans was to retake Artvin, Ardean, Kars, and the port of Batum. If they could succeed in this region, that would mean a diversion of Russian forces to this front from the Polish and Galician fronts.
Okay.
A Caucasus campaign would have a distracting effect on the Russian forces, and this plan found sympathy with the Germans. So Germany supplied the missing resources, and the Ottoman Third Army's manpower was used to achieve the distraction. The war minister, do you know who that was? The Ottoman war minister?
I don't know a lot about the structure of the Ottoman Empire at all. But that doesn't mean I can't guess. So, kids, guessing is better than saying, no, that's not true. To say I don't know is better because then it communicates clearly the situation and doesn't waste everybody's time. Here we go. I don't know.
Enver Pasha.
Oh, of course.
Well, he hoped that his success would facilitate opening the route to Tbilisi,
Tbilisi?
Tbilisi,
Oh, Tbilisi. Okay.
and beyond it with a revolt of Caucasian Muslims.
And when you say Caucasian, you mean of the Caucasus Mountains area, right?
The German strategic goal was to cut off Russia and their access to the hydrocarbon resources around the Caspian Sea.
Okay.
Russia viewed the Caucasus front as secondary to the Eastern Front.
Oh, yeah.
So the Eastern Front had the most Russian manpower and resources. Russia had taken the fortress of Kars from the Turks during the Russo-Turkish War and feared a campaign into the Caucasus aimed at retaking Kars in the port of Batum. In March of 1915, when the Russian foreign minister...
All these names have been very distinct to the nationality, Pasha and Luigi. So I'm going to say Vladimir Petrovsky.
No.
Okay.
Sergei Zazanov.
Oh, that's close, right?
Yeah. Well, he was in a meeting with the British ambassador,
Nigel Brookstone.
George Buchanan. Also, the French ambassador,
Michel.
Maurice Plagog.
Okay. I feel like I'm in the neighborhood, but it's not exactly.
But the Russian foreign minister, Sergei, he stated that a lasting post-war settlement demanded full Russian possession of the capital city of the Ottoman Empire.
Oh.
The Straits of Bosphorus,
Oh, I know
Dardanelles,
that one.
the city of Marmah.
Ooh, that's quite a goal. That's very optimistic.
But they're not.
Sorry.
Also, the southern Thrace,
Whoa.
as well as parts of the Black Sea coast of Anatolia between Bosphorus and the Sakkara River.
Whoa.
And they also won an undetermined point near the Bay of Limitz.
That seems very.
I'm sorry, near the Bay of Izmit.
I admire their panache. I mean, it's kind of like when you see a job listing and it's like, must have these skills, it's a wish list. They know they're not going to get somebody with everything, but if they can get some of that, great. But you got to aim high, right? And that's what they're doing.
The Russian Tsarist regime planned to replace the Muslim population of North Anatolia and Istanbul with what they classify as more reliable Cossack settlers.
Wasn't it the Cossacks that helped support the Soviet Revolution or the anyway? Okay, yeah, Cossacks are known to be loyal and trustworthy. So, I think,
Yes.
unless it's used as a pejorative. Anyway, continue.
No, I believe they were like, yes, we.
They're straight shooters. Like, yeah.
So the Armenian National Liberation Movement sought to establish the First Republic of Armenia.
All right.
The Armenian Revolutionary Federation achieved it with the establishment of the internationally recognized First Republic of Armenia in May of 1918. As early as 1915, the occupation of Turkish Armenia, later the Republic of Mountainous Armenia, were Armenian-controlled entities, while Centro-Caspian dictatorship was established with Armenian participation. None of these things lasted very long.
Yeah. I haven't heard of them very much. I just know that whenever I hear Armenian and Ottoman Empire, I know there's some bad history there, and I think we're about to get into that.
The British worked with Russian revolutionary troops to prevent Enver Pasha's goal of establishing an independent Transcaucasia. The Anglo-Persian Oil Company was in the proposed path of Ottoman ambitions, which owned the exclusive rights to work petroleum deposits throughout the Persian Empire, except in the provinces of Azerbaijan.
And for the modern listener, Persia is now Iran.
Yeah. So before the war, the British government had contracted with the company for the supply of oil fuel for the Navy.
So I'm surprised a little bit. Petroleum as a fuel source. I know that kind of happens during World War I. Everybody kind of realizes, oh, this is the fuel of the future. Because at the beginning, everything is coal-driven if it's industrialized at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. And so these rich oil deposits are now immensely valuable.
Yes, they are. And very sought after, which is why this area is under constant conflict.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the Ottoman forces, they had one army based in the region, the Third Army. In 1916, they sent reinforcements and formed the Second Army. The Ottoman generalship and organization were pretty much negligible compared to the Allies. At the beginning of the war, Ottoman combined forces estimated range from between 100 to 190,000 men. Most of them were poorly equipped. Before the war, Russia had Russian Caucasus Army with 100,000 men under the nominal command of Governor General of the Caucasus. His last name was Dashkov.
Whoa,
His
that's
first
cool.
name is very long and has a lot of V's.
Well, you can use his title and then Dashkov.
Yeah. The real commander was his chief of staff, though, General Nikolai Yudenich. On the onset of the Caucasus campaign, the Russians had to redeploy almost half of their forces to the Prussian front due to defeats during the Battle of Tannenberg and the Merisian Lakes. So they left about 60,000 troops behind.
Oh,
The Russian Caucasus Army dissipated in 1917 as the regular Russian regiments deserted the front line after the revolution. By 1917, when the Russian Caucasus Army disintegrated, there were around 110 to 120,000 soldiers of Armenian ethnicity.
yeah.
This number approached 150,000 for the total Armenians for Near East, where they were opposing Ottoman forces. In the summer of 1914, Armenian volunteer units were established under the Russian armed forces. As the Russian Armenian conscripts were already sent to the European front, this force was unequally established from Armenians that were not Russian Armenian or the ones that were not obligated to serve. It was initially established as detachment units under the viceroyalty of the Caucasus.
What is a detachment unit?
It is a unit that can be attached, then attached somewhere else.
Got it. Okay. I was gonna try to make it make sense, but it already makes sense. So no need to reinvent the wheel.
All right. Let's get into the actual conflict next
Oh, okay. I
time.
was like, all right. Oh, all right. Okay.
So, we're going to honor one of our fallen angels with the help of HeroCards.us. And today we're going to honor Specialist Christopher D. Horton. His hometown was Collinsville, Oklahoma. He served with the U.S. Army, 1st Battalion, 279th Infantry Regiment, 45th Infantry Brigade, Combat Team, Oklahoma National Guard. He received a Bronze Star and Purple Heart. His date of sacrifice was September 9th, 2011, killed in action in Paktia, Afghanistan. He was 26. Christopher Horton was an expert marksman who won numerous awards for his sharpshooting. Apart from his military career, Horton was also a professional sponsored shooter at the United States Shooting Academy in Owasso, Oklahoma. Fully aware that as an Army sniper, he would be a prized target for the enemy, Specialist Horton was passionate about lending his rare skills for the cause of freedom, despite the high danger of the assignment. Quote, Christopher put his career on hold as a professional sponsored shooter, business owner, and political consultant to serve his country, said his wife, Jane Horton. Christopher loved his country more than anything and truly believed in the values that America was founded on. He didn't want to do anything else until he served his country. He felt an honor and duty to protect us on the home front and join the ranks of the many American patriots that fight for our freedom. In 2008, Specialist Horton graduated from the Missouri Military Academy in Mexico, Missouri. Then enlisted in the Oklahoma Army National Guard in Tulsa. During his time with the Guard, he became an infantryman, was SWAT certified, sniper qualified, and graduated at the top of his class. Even outside of his Army responsibilities, Horton was passionate about serving his community and nation. He volunteered as a police officer and was also active as a political consultant to local state and national campaigns. He was offered jobs by many government agencies, according to Jane Horton, and told them they could call him back when he was home from Afghanistan. Specialist Christopher Horton died of wounds suffered when enemy forces attacked his unit with small arms fire on September 9, 2011, in Paktia province, Afghanistan. He and his wife Jane were expecting their first child when Christopher's life was cut short in service of his country. Christopher is buried at Arlington National Cemetery across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C., in Section 60, Site 9728. So, Specialist Christopher D. Horton, we thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Christoph, take it away.
All right. So, hey, listener, thank you so much for listening to us. There's a zillion podcasts and other entertainment vehicles you could be engaging with right now, but you're here. So, number one, thank you. If you ever want to get a hold of us, maybe we misconstrued some strategy or the name of a place or whatever, or hey, I have a relative that was involved in that conflict, they can tell you about this. You can reach out to us in a number of different ways. We have an email address. Yeah, that's right. Electronic mail. We're on it. It is US Navy History Podcast at gmail.com. Email us there. If you don't like email, maybe that's too passé for you, and you're like, please, I'm a part of the social media generation. Give me some social media stuff. You can find us on x.com or twitter.com. They're the same place. X Twitter. Go there. Find our handle at USN History Pod. That's us. And then you can message at us, tweet at us, whatever they call it nowadays. I'm not young, I'm not hip, and I'm not with it, but I know you can communicate with us there. Also, we have a Discord server. You can find a link to that in the show notes. Another, I guess, social media thing? Not really. I don't know. You can jump on it. You can talk to us. You can talk to others that are also in that server. Lastly, whatever avenue you're taking to listen to this podcast, whatever application, whatever podcast provider, which I'm sure is great, feel free to rate and review us. Let us know how many stars we should get. Maybe 5? Think about it. It's a great number of stars to have. And then tell us what you like, maybe what you don't like. Maybe what keeps you coming back for more. Maybe it's Dale's sexy voice. Let us know. We want to hear it. So, yeah, thank you again, and we hope to catch you next time.
And with that, we're going to wish you guys fair winds and following seas. Goodbye.
Bye.